Most cars are designed to blend in four wheels, a roughly rectangular body, and engine up front. The vehicles on this list ignored that formula entirely, either because an engineer had a genuinely strange idea and got the budget to build it, a marketing department wanted something nobody would forget, or in one case because the vehicle wasn't built for Earth at all. This is a countdown of 10 of the strangest, most unusual vehicles ever put into motion, starting with number 10. Built on the Isle of Man starting in 1962, the Peel P50 holds the Guinness World Record for the smallest production car ever made. It's just 54 inches long, weighs about 130 pounds, and originally ran on a 49 cubic centimeter moped engine, capable of a top speed around 38 miles per hour. It seats exactly one person, has exactly one door, and famously has no reverse gear at all. If you need to back up, the official instruction is to get out and physically lift the rear end around by a built-in handle. Peel only built about 50 of the original P50, which makes surviving units extremely valuable at auction today, with some selling for well over six figures, despite the original price being barely more than a moped. The company has since revived the P50 in small batch modern production, including a fully electric version for buyers who want the novelty of the world's smallest car without hunting down a 60-year-old original. The original Fiat Multipla, sold from 1998 until a 2004 facelift toned it down, is regularly cited as one of the ugliest cars ever mass-produced, largely because of its double-decker front end, a lower windshield and a separate upper strip of glass stacked above it, giving the car a bug-eyed, two-tiered face unlike anything else on the road. Underneath the styling, though, the Multipla was genuinely clever. It used a 3x3 seating layout, 3 seats in the front row and 3 more in the back, giving it interior space that outperformed most minivans twice its size. Fiat's engineers prioritized functions so heavily that styling became almost an afterthought, and the result is a car that automotive designers still study today as a case of brilliant packaging wrapped in a shape nobody could bring themselves to call attractive. It's proof that unusual doesn't always mean impractical. Sometimes the strangest looking car in the parking lot is also the most sensible one to actually own. Mercedes originally built the six-wheeled G-Class for military and government use, but by 2013, the AMG division had turned it into a limited-run luxury version available to civilian buyers with the money to justify it. The G63 6x6 stretches to over 19 feet long, rides on portal axles that push the body dramatically higher off the ground, and runs six-wheel drive powered by AMG's twin-turbo V8, producing 536 horsepower. Despite weighing well over 4 tons and looking like something built to survive a war zone, the G63 6x6 could still reach 60 miles per hour in under 8 seconds. Mercedes deliberately kept production numbers extremely low to preserve exclusivity, and original units have become genuine collector pieces, regularly trading for several times their original sale price specifically because so few were ever built. Long before Lamborghini built the Urus, the company already had an off-road vehicle in its history, and it came from an even stranger place. Lamborghini originally developed the LM002 while pursuing a U.S. military contract, using a chassis derived from an earlier prototype called the Cheetah. When the military deal fell apart, Lamborghini pivoted the project into a civilian luxury off-roader, powered by the same 5.2-liter V12 found in the Countach. Nicknamed the Rambo Lambo, the LM002 looked like nothing else Lamborghini had ever built. A slab-sided military-style truck wearing a supercar engine, produced in small numbers between 1986 and 1993. It's since become a genuine collector's item precisely because of how bizarre the pairing was. A company famous for low, hand-built exotics, building a boxy off-road truck at a time when performance brands simply didn't do that. Italian engineer Ferruccio Covini built the C6W with a genuinely unusual piece of engineering logic behind it. 4 wheels up front instead of 2, aimed at improving braking performance, cornering grip, and aerodynamic downforce at high speed. The extra pair of front wheels doesn't steer independently in the way you might expect. The whole setup was engineered to increase contact patch and stability rather than add complexity for its own sake. Powered by a mid-mounted Audi-sourced V8, the C6W never entered mass production, staying a low-volume, hand-built curiosity out of Italy. It's a rare case of a manufacturer adding wheels not as a gimmick, but as an actual engineering hypothesis about grip and stability, one that never caught on industry-wide, but produced one of the strangest supercar silhouettes ever built in the process. Released in 1985 by British inventor Clive Sinclair, the C5 was pitched as the future of urban commuting. A battery-electric, single-seat tricycle you rode in a reclined, almost lying-down position, low enough to the ground that drivers in normal cars often couldn't see it in traffic. It had no roof, no doors, and a top speed of around 15 miles per hour, powered by a small electric motor with pedal assistance for hills. The C5 became one of the most infamous commercial failures in British consumer product history, widely mocked in the press and pulled from production within about a year after selling only a fraction of Sinclair's projected numbers. Safety concerns over its low visibility to other drivers, combined with a launch during freezing January weather that made an open-air, single-seat vehicle deeply unappealing, killed it commercially almost immediately. Decades later, it's remembered less as a failure and more as a genuinely early, if badly executed attempt at exactly the kind of single-person electric urban vehicle companies are still trying to get right today. Unveiled in 2008, the Gina was BMW's answer to a strange question. What if a car's exterior wasn't made of metal or plastic panels at all, but a flexible textile skin stretched over a movable frame? The Gina's entire body was covered in a specially developed fabric that could shift and deform, letting the headlights blink open through slits in the material and the hood split open along a seam to reveal the engine underneath, closing back up seamlessly afterward. The frame beneath the fabric used a mix of wire and carbon fiber elements that could physically change the car's shape while driving, altering the silhouette in ways no rigid-bodied car could match. BMW never intended the Gina for production. It existed purely as a design exploration, but it remains one of the most genuinely strange and technically ambitious concept vehicles any major manufacturer has ever built and actually driven on camera. Built by Swiss company Rinspeed and unveiled in 2008, the Scuba is the only car ever built that can genuinely submerge and drive underwater, rather than simply floating on the surface. Loosely inspired by the submarine Lotus Esprit from the James Bond film The Spy Who Loved Me, the Scuba has no roof at all, specifically so the cabin fills with water during a dive, since a sealed cabin would need to withstand water pressure in a way that wasn't practical for the project. 3 separate electric motors handle propulsion, 1 for road driving and 2 water jets for underwater movement, with the whole car capable of descending to around 10 feet below the surface. It never entered production and exists as a single functioning prototype, but it remains a genuine answer to a question almost no other car company has seriously attempted to solve. The Wienermobile isn't a one-off concept or a failed experiment. It's a fleet of fully road-legal vehicles, shaped like an actual hot dog in a bun, that Oscar Mayer has kept in continuous production and touring use since the first one hit the road in 1936. Modern versions are built on actual truck chassis, meet full road safety and emission standards, and are driven around the country by employees nicknamed hot doggers as part of a marketing tour that's now been running for close to 90 years. What makes the Wienermobile genuinely unusual, rather than just a novelty prop, is how seriously it's engineered. Real doors, real seating, real drivetrains, built specifically to survive years of continuous cross-country driving while looking exactly like a giant Frankfurter the entire time. It's one of the longest-running vehicle marketing campaigns in American history, and one of the very few cases where a company built something this strange and never stopped building it. At the very top of the list is the one vehicle on here that was never meant to compete with anything on Earth's roads, because it was never designed to drive on Earth at all. The lunar roving vehicle, built by Boeing and General Motors, was used during the final 3 Apollo missions, 15, 16, and 17, to let astronauts travel far beyond walking distance from their lunar lander. It ran on battery power, weighed only around 460 pounds thanks to an aluminum chassis, and wire mesh wheels designed for the moon's lack of atmosphere and 1/6 gravity, and folded into a compartment roughly the size of a large suitcase for the trip there. Astronauts drove the rover at speeds up to about 11 miles per hour across terrain no vehicle had ever crossed before, extending the range of lunar exploration missions dramatically beyond what earlier moonwalks on foot had allowed. All three rovers used during the Apollo program are still sitting exactly where the astronauts left them, parked on the moon's surface, because there was obviously no way to bring them home. It remains the only vehicle in human history that was driven somewhere, parked, and then left behind permanently on a completely different world, which makes every other car on this list look fairly ordinary by comparison. Looking at this list together, unusual ends up meaning something different in almost every case. Sometimes it's a genuinely strange engineering idea, like 6 wheels or a fabric body. Sometimes it's a company leaning fully into a joke and refusing to stop. And in one case, it's a vehicle built for a place that doesn't have roads at all. If there's a specific unusual vehicle you think deserved a spot on this list, let us know in the comments and subscribe for more deep dives into the strangest machines the automotive world has ever produced.